Yeah, so we'll start, and if anybody comes, that's cool. If not, we're recording this so that we can let everybody else see it on their own time. But my name is Kelly, and I'm the person that you've been talking to on the internet, Kelly Elizabeth, in the FNP forum. And we are here with Myrna. And Myrna was an FNP student, but she is also now a faculty member, which means that we didn't totally scare her away. She still likes us. And yeah, so she knows kind of what to expect from a faculty standpoint, but also from a student standpoint, kind of like tips and tricks that helped her through and everything like that. So we have some questions that were already given to us online, so we'll answer those first. And then from there, just ask away. And feel free to just type in chat. She's going to talk, so I'm going to take me off the microphone because she knows more than I do about all of this, and I'll chime in if there's anything I can help answer. So yeah, here you go, Myrna, take it away.
Thank you, Kelly. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, I'll turn this.
It's going to be the speaker. Okay, so the couple of questions that you previously gave me that some people have been asking you is what is the best way for alumni students to communicate with professors on online courses for USU? And number one is going to be through the class forums in your classroom so that other students could have the same answer. In other words, they're going to know from the answer to your question. Second is going to be through email, also through the classroom. You'll be able to do that through your class. Email the instructor if you want a particular question answered specifically for yourself. So that's the communication question. Some examples of clinical locations for FNP. The main ones is going to be the primary care clinics. You say it 3 times fast. Primary care clinics.
Primary care clinic. I can do like 4 things.
So I just stuck in an extra L for no reason. That's what happened there. Urgent cares, you may be able to do, if a primary care clinic has an urgent care, you'll be able to do some hours through there. Some people ask if USU will provide the clinical sites. They do. If you're out of state, they look for the clinical sites for you, but at the same time, if you have somebody that you know that you would like to do a clinical with, in other words, a primary care doctor or FNP that you can work with, you can also try to make arrangements for that. I did my clinical hours through USU, but I also had a doctor that I worked with that I expected to work with afterwards, and so the last half of my clinical rotation I did with him and made sure that I covered all the different clinical hour assignments that we needed to accomplish before it was over, and then I worked with him afterwards. So yes, USU provides the clinical sites. They make the arrangements with you. Anything that you could do to help push the clinical site towards closer to you, if there's something closer to you, if there's somebody that you want to work with. So yes, both ways. It can work both ways. Pat Bentley is the person that you'll be working with for the clinical sites, and she'll give you a lot more information about that as you move forward. How do webinars work for the programs? So the webinars, if it's a synchronous webinar, in other words, there is a set time, you log in, and everybody, just like we are today, we're logging in, we all go to the class at the same time. If you're unable to make it, according to the rules of your class, check that first. But if you are not able to make that there is an assignment, a summary that you will do if you can't make it. I don't know how many you need to attend because I really haven't started the classes.
Do you know how many, or is there a schedule in advance, like in the syllabus, for example? How do students know to plan ahead of time?
So the schedule is in the syllabus. Once you get to your classroom, you'll have announcements, you'll have welcomes. Get through those first, and then you could outline. They actually will, it'll show you everything that's synchronous, asynchronous assignments, so that you can manage your time better. The graduation ceremony, is it exclusive for online FNP students at the end of the 2-year program? As of right now, there isn't a separate graduation. I thought I heard that there may be, or that there just may be more graduations ceremonies throughout the year. But right now, it's just one. Correct?
Yep, it's in September.
September. Okay.
And it's
Oh, Bethany is typing.
She may be able to hear you on my mic also.
it's
Yeah.
September.
Let's see, one other question here. How does online learning specifically work with the online program? So we talked about the webinars. We talked about logging into your class, reading the welcome, the announcements, planning out how your class will work. So learning. So learning, you'll have each week, you'll see the whole week planned out. Each week planned out. You'll see all the 8 weeks listed in a tab, and you will click on each week to see what you're going to be doing. You can look ahead. You can compare it to your syllabus.
I guess
So I think
part of it as well, it's kind of like, imagine if you're sitting in a regular classroom. Can you expand on it a bit in terms of, how do you get to know people? How do you get to chat with people? Is it super formal? Is it, how does it differ? That you found, like, especially used like this too as well.
so. First is the instructors always have, first of all, etiquette for that you will follow. So that'll be more when you're in your student forums. For example, a discussion forum where that's part of your assignment. That's more formal. Then you have other forums where you could be less formal. So each I don't know if I'm answering the question, but when you're in the forums, it's just like chatting with your other students. There's going to be recordings of your instructor. If you're doing a virtual session, you may all have your camera on like we are today, so you will see each other. I actually did virtual sessions and on ground with the same class. So I may have seen my classmates on Saturday, and maybe on Monday night we all got together on a forum like today. So that's how you get to know people. You're also part of your discussion. Part of your discussion assignments is replying to other students. The immersions that you'll have in the future, everybody comes together on ground, so you'll see them then also.
Bethany asks, what is the best time to check for assignments in our classes? I guess those are 2 questions.
Okay, so let's see. First, best time to check 4 assignments. So at the beginning, when you read your syllabus, you will have all your assignments all mapped out from beginning to end. Then it's broken down weekly. So however you learn best, if it's better to see everything from beginning to end, map it out one time, and then week by week, check off what you're doing. But each week your assignment, they're already posted. They're already posted for the whole 8 weeks.
So when she says when's the best time to check for assignments, your assignments are all available.
They're all available, right? So you get ahead, you get behind. It's there for you already. The only thing, submission may have like a timing, but for you to plan, it's going to be up in advance. How are classes divided up? One class every 8 weeks. Is that the question? Divided up.
Bethany, can you expand on that a bit? What do you? I don't know if you can hear me.
Do you use all the books they ask to obtain? You know, when I had my list, I'm not sure which list you're going to get, but the list, it would say required and suggested. I would get all the required, and I would get suggested once I started and I saw that I needed it. I don't know if that was too late or what, but I just would get the required, and then the suggested book, my instructor could tell me, yeah, you actually do need that, or it would help you if you use this, depending on what you need. Okay, there are 72 people in the cohort. I see what you're saying. So the classroom, they're divided up. What I see from right now is 13 to 16 students is what the class sizes that I've been seeing. The most powerful computer, technology, we were just talking about that. The more devices we get, the more complicated it gets. But yes, I think you do need something that will run a lot of different programs at the same time. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yes, technology.
I'm coming back.
No, I'm glad.
But you're very big on the
so
fingers.
in terms of technology, I would say, you got a Mac, so
I would say,
pretty powerful. I think that's good for what you need. I think it would be interesting to ask perspective.
I think it'd be interesting to ask from like a nursing perspective.
The apps are all different. I would say if you had a really old computer,
the apps are all
then
different.
it
I would say
might be worth upgrading, but in terms of like the biggest and most powerful, expensive, I wouldn't go super crazy on it as long as it can run.
I wouldn't go super crazy on it as
more
long as it
recent.
can run.
I'm broken up.
More recent. I'm broken up.
Oh, it's because of my.
Oh.
We're using my mic. We'll go. How about now? Mic check.
Okay, can you hear me now? Felt like Brandon. Can you hear me now? Can I feel the charger? Can you hear me?
Oh, it's from this. That's right. Here we go. That's what we're doing.
Alright, we're gonna try it.
Now you look like an operator.
I'm an operator. Okay, can you hear me now? Yay. Okay, cool. So I would say, like you just got a Mac, and that's a pretty powerful computer. I think it's going to handle everything that you need. As long as it has enough like memory and enough storage, I think you'll be all right. If anybody has a computer that's 10 years old, that's probably not going to work. Myrna, do you know if we have a list of any suggested apps or anything that people should have? Because I know that Android and Mac are so different. But
I don't. I think there probably is.
Mm-hmm.
at least minimum requirements. I know that that's out, right? Minimum requirements, which is what I usually get confused if somebody's, like you said right now, enough memory, what does that mean?
Okay.
You know, what's the number?
Okay, so we do send a tech letter, and that's what you just said to me. Yeah, so as long as it meets those requirements. But if you're looking to spend like thousands and thousands of dollars on a computer, I wouldn't worry about it. I think you're going to be good as long as it meets the tech requirement. It's cool. I mean, now in terms of tech, do you, when you do online immersions and stuff, or I guess not immersions, just classes, are students required to be on webcam? Or can they just be?
I don't know what it is right now.
Okay.
I know that before we did. It wasn't required, but we just did.
Okay.
And I think it was what we were just starting to use it. It was through, I think it was Blackboard, right? Yeah, it was Blackboard. So yes, but we do the meetings. We don't usually do that. So
Okay.
I don't have a final answer for that, but I would be prepared to be for them.
Yeah, webcam. Yes. Okay, so if there is a webcam day, just be prepared. Do your makeup. Wear a nice shirt, but what your pants are, nobody will notice.
I think the more important thing is the noise.
Yeah.
So you have to have a semi-quiet, or else nobody can hear each other.
That's true.
Yeah. So you learn learning the technology of what you're using that day.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true. That's true. And kind of going back on another question, because I was typing, when it was talking about like how online learning specifically works, and we talked about like form etiquette. So within the classes, you know, I guess expect a professor to be there and to you know, kind of act accordingly, just sort of like if you're in a classroom. Whereas we're also going to have, kind of how we have the Facebook group, we're going to have our own internal digital community through Google Plus, which is actually pretty cool when you're not on public Google Plus and you're doing an internal Google Plus with your entire cohort. And there's also a community that we're setting up now, which is going to be all of our nursing students. And that way it gives you a good opportunity to post cat memes and joke around, but it also gives you the opportunity as well to get to network with each other, because you never know who's in your area and you never know who, oh no, is it all super garbled? Is it bad? Can you hear me? We'll have to get headsets for everybody. Okay. Yeah, so so we'll have internal online communities as well, so there won't be any faculty there. So it's kind of our version of a student lounge, so that you'll have the opportunity to network with people and get to know your classmates. And then we also, through those, because you're all going to have USU email addresses, which we have through Google Education, which means that you can use Google Hangouts to, you know, chat with each other with through video if you want, where you can work with each other on projects. You can use like Google Slides, Google Docs, all this stuff that you can all collaborate together, which is really nice. So in terms of that way, I think Myrna's coming from a perspective where it's really like the more formal side of it, whereas now technology's expanded that we can, you know, it allows us to get together and create our own study groups or just to get to know people, because it helps to, I think it definitely helps in school when you're going through it with other people that are also going through the same thing that you're going through, so you don't feel so alone, and it's nice to work in a collaborative environment. So that's just me jumping in on question number 6. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give Myrna the microphone back.
I do have answers for that immersion question.
Okay, yes, she has the immersion question. Here we go. And then I'm going away.
Okay, so for the immersion question, how many immersions and what do we do? They're called 3 different immersions, but the second immersion has a first immersion and a second immersion. So then we'll start with the first immersion is going to be your health assessment immersion, and that is where it's right before you actually go out to your clinical sites. So we do actual physical exams here on campus, so that you're actually touching somebody real before you go out to the clinical sites. We do female exam, male exam. There are standardized patients for that, and that's your first immersion for health assessment. That is the one that has a second immersion to it. At the end of your health assessment,
Wait, I'm confused.
I know I said first one, but that's wrong.
Immersion
So-
number one has
so-
part one and part two.
It has a part 1 and part 2.
Okay.
The part 2 is the same physical assessment, but now it's a test out. So you will be practicing most likely on each other. Same physical assessment that you learned on the first one will be tested out. The second immersion is scenarios also. A lot of scenarios. You'll learn suturing, x-ray reading, splinting. Those scenarios will be on cardio, hypertension, diabetes, and that is a three-day immersion. The last immersion is right before you graduate, and that is also a test immersion where you'll be given a scenario with a real standardized patient who is trained to behave according to their scenario. In other words, they have cardio issues, they're trained to mimic cardio issues. We have cardio simulators. That's what we were attempting to do yesterday.
Okay.
Was a cardiac, in other words, the stethoscope is set up so that we put in different heart sounds, and you will tell us what that is.
Okay, so when she says real patients, when you say standardized patient, that's like an actor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Standardized patient is an actor.
So then in immersion number 2, these are scenarios, or no, wait, immersion number 1, part 2 is on each other.
Part 2 is,
It says the same physical assessment as part 1.
I think that's real. That's real patients.
These are real patients.
Real patients, standardized patients, I should say.
Real standardized patients? What does that mean?
So it's a real
I don't
person.
know. Okay.
It's the actor.
Okay.
Standardized patient. A standardized patient is an actor.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. Okay. Just making sure.
Which is a real person.
So, during the immersions, you're not working with real patients?
No, standardized patients.
Okay. Okay, and then kind of going back, so I have more.
Your real patient will be in your first clinical site.
Okay.
So this immersion is, you have your standardized patient first, and then you're going to go to your clinical site to see a real patient.
Okay. How difficult is it to get a California license, and how much does it cost? And she's coming from
Difficult.
Virginia.
So difficult is actually in waiting. As of right now, I heard that they were taking 6 months to process. It's not difficult, but it does take a long time. How much is it? I'd have to look on there. $100, $200, probably.
So should I start soon?
You know, we've just been having meetings about that, so they're gonna let you know. they were actually deciding when it should be done so that when is it necessary, and calculate the time when the class that you're taking before you actually need it, because you need the license for the immersion. So I think that they're finalizing when, because it's not always 6 months. It doesn't always take 6 months to process. That's just what it's taking now. So they're just trying to catch it ahead of time.
Okay, then, so for Bethany's case, she says she starts class Monday. So I guess it's something that you as faculty are looking into, but she will be, prepared by the time she gets there.
Yes, so by the time she actually needs it, whether, I believe it's the immersion that you have to have it.
When is the first immersion?
For her, if she's starting her first class, it may not be till, I have to pull up the calendar, but.
Okay, so she'll have time then.
Yes.
Okay.
Immersion is in the last year.
Okay, all immersions are in the last year. Yeah, I will need to buy flight tickets. How does that work then with flight tickets preparing to come out here for immersions? Because I know that they all have their dates ahead of time. Do we help with flights and places to stay?
I think they have a list of info.
Okay.
In other words, places to stay in the area.
So we provide that?
I think so. Okay. I haven't actually seen that, but I've heard.
Okay. So we can get back to that.
I don't want to confirm that because I've only heard that. I haven't actually seen a list.
Yes, I'm wondering if we have 72. Do all 72 come here at once?
No.
Okay. So it's broken up. I was wondering if we
it is broken up.
How many students are here for immersion?
As of right now, we can only do like 15 to 16 because this is what we have now. In January, we'll have the next door open, but the immersions right now are like 16 students.
Do those 16 students, do they get to work on all the immersions together, or do they work with different students every immersion? Is it like a cohort within a cohort?
It is a cohort within a cohort, so depending on which class you're taking.
Okay.
Your immersion is linked to your class. So your class size is about 16.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be. So you're taking your class right now. Everybody that's in your class is going to be in your immersion. For that class.
I'm going to jump on the webcam.
Oh wait, no, I do.
I have another question about monsters. Oh wait, no, I do want Mine's feels so digital.
So our hair is gonna get a little bit more messed up with the mic.
Yeah. So Bethany, we in San Diego, it's going to depend on where you stay. Our neighborhood is called Mission Valley, which is definitely pretty officey. There are hotels definitely in the area, and we have like a grocery store and everything nearby with a bunch of food. In terms of mass transit, San Diego's not, we do have mass transit. It's not great, but we do have Uber and Lyft, which are super popular. We do have cabs. We can, you can definitely get to the beach as well. And if I have to put out a guide to make sure that you all get to the beach, I will do that. But yeah, we have a trolley system. We have buses, but most people here just do Uber and Lyft. Yeah, you can rent a car if you choose to, but
I think you can get around to spine with Uber and Lyft. Okay, getting off Lyft. So how does it work then for, what are like tips and things that you would give as a student now that you're on the faculty side? I guess maybe repeat the question too, because I don't know how well Bethany can hear me. Now that you're on the faculty side.
I would, even before the faculty side as a student, I think the most important tip, I even give this tip to, before I was faculty, to other people going to school, and the work issue. How to work, home, and school. The number one tip is it's hard to work. You got to put your school first, and oh, so she says that she hears you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. That's perfect.
The work, home, and school life is very difficult, and going in knowing that will help you deal with it, I would say. You have to be able to move your schedule around with your work, and if you can figure out how to not work, that would be the best thing. School gets very, very difficult, especially that last year. I had always worked and done school at the same time. Nurse practitioner school, last year, I was not able to do it. It's just too rigorous. Too rigorous. It requires a lot of time. So I would say the first year, start figuring out what you're going to do on the second year financially, so that you don't have to work at least as much. That's number one tip. Number two tip is each class, I knew my learning style, and I would prepare for it. So depending on your learning style, prepare for your classes, just know what you need.
What is like your style? If you have to say, because if I look at my style, I'm like, no, I don't want to get out of bed. But like some people are morning people. Like what's kind of like a basic rundown of your style and what works for you, so that people can like take that example to connect to their own style.
So my style is looking at the syllabus, breaking down the syllabus, putting it into my calendar, and then having a check off of each week. Okay, that's done. What am I going to do each week? Check it off. Reminders of things like how many times do I need to post, word requirements for assignments, and having that accessible so that I'm not trying to figure out how many words I need to put in for this assignment, because I already have it readily available. Planning in advance, and then according to the learning style. So for me, every day off that I could get was either planning or doing assignments. Social life was way on the back burner, and I used a lot of help from my family, and I planned in advance. In other words, I'm not going to be doing dishes. There's just no time. So who's going to be doing dishes? That basic, all those things that take up your time, somebody else is going to have to do it. To cover the time for your study. I am a morning person, but I also had to stay up late all the time.
Really? Yeah.
No matter how many, I mean, if I was running out of energy at night, since I was a morning person, I would just put my alarm earlier in the morning to get up and do assignments. So if my brain was done, then I'd schedule for the next morning earlier and earlier. Rigorous, very rigorous.
So what's the way then that you would recommend students who, like Bethany, are starting on 10:30? What are things that she could do now? Like just start just little basic habits now to start and then kind of expand on as the program goes on. Like an example, you said get up an hour earlier or something like that.
I would say looking at the calendar ahead of time and scheduling yourself spaces of when you're going to study, plan. So in other words, if you look at your schedule next week, just like you do for work, this is my time to work. You schedule in that time. You have meeting times that you also schedule. So now you have to input study time into your schedule in advance.
Now, Bethany says, students I've talked to and seen on forums are concerned that the program hasn't been around long and there isn't much info online.
Hasn't been around.
Because I know that we have expanded the program as of recently. That's our overall major goal on that. But you, as a student, your program was smaller, right?
Yes.
Because how did it work for you? Were you online mostly, and then you came to campus for immersions, or did you live in San Diego?
I lived in San Diego, but I was actually a lot of on campus, and we did some online. My first class was online, which was farm because I was coming with with another master's, and so I came in midway through the program. But I've been out of school for more than 2 years, and I was in it for 2 years. So 4 years ago, I started. That doesn't seem like a short time ago for me.
Yes.
And not a lot of info online. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer the not a lot of info online.
Yeah.
I would say. I know that when you're looking online for information, more information on the website, it makes you feel more comfortable sometimes.
Yeah, and what Bethany just said too, she wrote that I like that the Aspen group is a part of the university, and like we definitely too as well. Like the payment plan makes it so much easier, and I think that just in the past, I came here within marketing. Oh, I should put this on. I came here to the marketing department about a year ago, and I think it was just ultimately the school's marketing decisions just didn't work out the way that they wanted them to. So that's where I'm coming from when I'm thinking why there's not a lot of info online, because we've been around for 20 years. We started as Inter-American College, so we're known locally. But I think that we just weren't on that national scale. So I think that with Aspen now, they are on the national scale, and them coming in and giving us the tools to be able to say, hey, here we are. I think that's going to make a big change as well. So we might not have a lot out there now, but this year we just got our new website and we're on it. So you will hear a lot more from us, definitely. And if there's anything that you ever have questions on or want to hear more about or that you'd like to see, please let me know, because that's me. I've told other nurses, go with USU. Yay!
Yeah, so have I. Yes.
So there's another one. How are the exams given? I'm going to go off the microphone. Or off the...
They're exams. There's quizzes within your courses, and they're just within your course. It's the I think I'm answering the question.
Yeah.
How are they given? So it's online. It's basically activated through your classroom.
So
Just like an assignment.
Like online within your courses, if you had to compare the difference between like sitting down in the classroom, so in the classroom, you would have to sit down at a certain time, you would have like maybe a few hours to finish a test, there's like multiple choice and written. Is it kind of the same way where you have to log in at a certain time? Can you do it on your own time? Do you have, are there time limits? Kind of like that.
From when I did pharmacology, the test is basically open during a certain time. In other words, you can take it now. So the link is there, but it's just like it's now it's active. You're able to take the quiz for the exam within your course. Different, you're at home, but it is the same. It's the same feeling.
Yeah.
You know.
So what you're saying is, because what I just wrote, I want to make sure I got this right. So it's like the test is open, so the professor will say like, okay, the test is open, you can take it now on your own time, and it's going to close on Thursday at 2 o'clock. So make sure you have this done by then. Okay.
Or it may not have a time to end, but if you didn't do it, you don't get your
yeah. Just make sure to take it
right
when they tell you, essentially.
Just like any assignment that's due that week, if you didn't do it, you didn't do it.
Yeah.
It may still be open, but you won't get credit for it.
So for exams, can you start them and then pause them and go do some other stuff, or do you have to take it all in one session?
I believe you need to take it in all in one session.
Okay. Bethany wrote, how did your nurse practitioner exam go? Did you feel well prepared?
It went well. The prep, I think, is the most important part. I did an online, what is it called? It's called a exam prep. But the exam prep basically sets you up to how to study. So it goes over what the exam is what's gonna be in the exam. It tells you to take a pre-exam to see where you're at, so where you need to study, and it basically prepares you to study. You don't take an exam, a prep course, and then you go take the exam. It's basically made to show you how to study for the exam.
I feel like you were well prepared for it.
Well, during the test, it felt just like when I was taking my nursing boards, that I took the test and I was like, oh no, but passed. It was like, no, I don't know, and then you pass.
Yeah.
You don't know that you're passing when you're passing.
Yeah, because it's difficult, especially too, with like high stakes tests like that, where you walk in and you feel like you know nothing, even though you do, because everything's just worded very formally, and you just like get really nervous, I guess. So that's what you did. Basically. Yes. But did you feel that USU prepared you?
Yes.
Going in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And and also the diagnostic exams. That was another thing. It shows you where you're at what level, and what percentage you have of passing. And so USU provides the at least 3 different types of tests. The pre-test. So it's actually called like a 3P exam, a pre-test, and a post-test. In other words, these are done. The post is done like a final. The pre is done before you're studying, and you've done your date. You have your date set.
Okay.
And then the post is right before your test. One last check.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
And it tells you which areas you may be low in, but the percentage. It tells you you are prepared or you're not.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are the questions fill in the blank or multiple choice or both?
Both. They are both.
For class testing. Right.
Oh, class testing. I actually haven't seen any of the V2L that's coming out now. I think they're both. A lot of multiple choice though. the student insurance and professional nurse insurance, I needed to have it, but to confirm that, I think you still have to have it as a student. Pat Bentley would be able to answer that question better for you during orientation, but I know that I had to have it, and I don't see how they would have changed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like I don't really know much about it, but I did see something like state of California requires, because state of California does have pretty strict standards. All right, let's make sure that we got all the questions. There was one that I had on the post-it over there, but I think we answered it in terms of the practicums. Yeah. Oh, post-it now.
That's not little. Oh my gosh, don't give me those.
I know, I just put them in my face and then I can't. Yeah, so can the FNP program find me a preceptor for my clinicals? And this person who had asked lived in New Jersey.
And so the program is the one looking for the preceptor clinical site. But if a student has somebody that they want to work with, or a clinical site that they're interested in, Pat Bentley would work with the student and with the site to make the arrangements.
Oh, was this the question that we answered at the beginning? Let me see.
Similar. I think it was similar.
Okay. Yeah, will USU provide the clinical sites? Is that the same?
Mm-hmm.
And then question number 2 that we didn't quite answer because it kind of bled into question number 3. What are some examples of clinical location settings for students? Like,
so primary care clinics. Remember, that was my tongue twister.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because it is a family nurse practitioner program, that's why it's the primary care clinic. Those are the main sites.
Cool. Awesome. It seems like we have a whole bunch of questions that I'm going to type out. Let me come back. Let me come back. Don't you? Yay. So Bethany, do you have any other questions while we're here? I hope we were able to answer all of them in a helpful way. Oh, I should not put my foot on. That we can answer them in a helpful way. Bethany is typing. Some programs require hours in women's health, pediatrics, is that what that means? Peds, and general family care that are split up.
So the primary care should cover all of that. There are some pediatric sites. I did my pediatric site. It was a primary care clinic, but they had a pediatric section. So it's the same primary care clinic, but you may go into a different section for the required hours.
Okay. Cool.
You do see patients alone, but you start out with your clinical preceptor. Everything that you do with the preceptor has basically you have a list of things that you must accomplish. So let's just say blood pressure. It's on the list. Your preceptor will feel comfortable with you doing a blood pressure. Not really, not a blood pressure. Nurses do blood pressures, but it's just an example.
Yeah.
So you do the blood pressure with your preceptor. Your preceptor is comfortable with you doing the blood pressure, and then you're doing it by yourself. So then you move on to X-rays. When you're doing your preceptor is comfortable with you reading those X-rays after they have taught you, or you're comfortable with it, then you move on to by yourself.
Have you sutured a patient?
I have sutured hundreds of patients.
Really?
My background is operating room as a nurse, and when I did my internship, I did hours of surgery time with my doctor, and I've actually completed my hours for first assistant, and I actually work as a first assistant. I get reimbursed for assisting in surgery, so yes, suturing skin.
Applying casts?
I really didn't do very much casting. I should have, but the hospital had orthopedic assistants that would just do the cast for us.
Cool.
Lazy.
All right, let me put this on. Bethany, do you have one last question? And then if you have any other questions that you go home and you think about, feel free to send them and we will get those answered. Okay, perfect. Let me come back on to the screen. I'm back.
Fingers is back.
My fingers are back in. It's like my nickname. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for attending, Bethany. And I'll type up all the notes and post them for everybody, because I know that some people couldn't make it today just because of their work hours. And I'll post it in the Facebook community as well, so that everybody can have access to it. And if anybody who's watching this and makes it through the end after we post it has any questions, feel free to either send them to me on Facebook, or you can send them to my email, which I'll write down. And yeah, thank you, Myrna, for being here and giving us your tips.